Hi guys, your girl Bustier. Welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be learning how to draft a shoulder dart bustier with a plunge neckline. So there's going to be an illusion neck on the middle of the plunge neckline. So first of all, I've already gone ahead to mark out my measurements. I just outlined my chest line, my bust point, my half length, my under bust and my half length. So after that, I'm going to be marking my nipple to nipple measurement all the way to the hemline of the blouse. So after that, I'll be marking my darts on the half length line. I'll be marking 0.75 inch on both sides for my darts. Now you can use up to 1 inch if the person you are working with is very busty, because this will help you when you want to contour the under bust. But this person is not very busty, but she is wide, so I'm just going to be marking it. Now for the hemline, I will just go up by 1.5 inch and mark before connecting my darts to it. You can as well connect it all the way to the bottom, it doesn't really matter, but I just wanted it this way. So now for my shoulder, I'm just going ahead to mark the half of my shoulder measurement to reconnect it to my bust point to form the shoulder dart. So I'll just mark half of my shoulder measurement and then I'll reconnect it to my bust point with a straight ruler. Now I'm going to be marking 1/4 of my bust measurement, and I'll go ahead and do the same for my under bust. I'll mark 1/4 of my under bust measurement, and then I will measure what I have used for the dart, and then I will replace it. I'll go ahead and do the same for the half length, mark it, then I'll measure what I used for the dart, and then I will replace it. Now we're doing that because I'm going to use it for the under bust contour. Now what we use for the dart, I'll measure it, and now I'm going to share it between the under bust. Now for this front part is going to be having the smaller measurements, so for the other part I would add what is bigger on that side so that the front doesn't look too tight. Now for the front part I use 0.25, for the other side I use 0.75. so now I just reconnected it back to the shoulder line. Just make sure that you use your curve ruler to reconnect it back. Now I'll just connect this straight now to my dart line on my half length. I'll also do the same for the other part. So now I'm going to be adding I'll be using half inch on both sides of my shoulder to just contour the shoulder. I'll connect it back to my bust point line. You can go up by 1 inch above the bust point to reconnect, so it doesn't so it's not too sharp if you cannot contour it very well, so it's not too sharp. Now I'm going to mark half of my armhole measurement, and then I will come in by half an inch to just reconnect, and then I'll reconnect it to my bust measurement with a curve line, a curve ruler. So now for this difference, I'll replace it back. I'll replace what I have here, the 1 inch, I'll replace it back here, then I'll replace on this other part, I'll replace the half an inch, then I will just reconnect it. There are other ways you can do this as well if you don't want to do it this way, but I just want to do it this way because I want even the middle part to be correct. But you can also just close your darts and then you replace what you have, like just closing your dart now, and then you remeasure your shoulder to be sure of your new shoulder measurements. So now you can do it this way by closing these darts, and then you use your tape now to measure. My shoulder is supposed to be 8, and you can see it gave me 8 as well, so whichever you find easier. So just make sure you blend it in. Now I'm just going to be adding my seam allowance. I'm using 1.5 for my seam allowance. I wanted to use 1, but I just went back to replace it with half an inch. That's why we have those double line there. Now I just want to be sure about my measurements, so I'm just cross-checking because I've added an extra dart. So I'm just checking the measurements again, adding the extra that I used for the dart to the measurements, just the way we did it at first, but now you know the dart is bigger. So I'll just connect. You don't have to worry about that little 1/4 of an inch that we have there. We have enough seam allowance for that because it's not going to be on a straight line. So now I'm just going to mark my hemline as well, and then I'll reconnect. don't bother about this shape at the bottom. Remember that we have a dart here. By the time we've held the dart, the shape will come out as well. So I went up by 1 inch, and then I reconnect back to my blouse. So now for this blouse, the middle has like a curve, so I just went up by 2.5 inches, and then I used my curve ruler. So I'm just trying to measure that the blouse is not too short. You can also confirm from the starting of the neckline to the hem of the blouse to make sure that it's not too short and it doesn't expose your tummy. So now I'm just going to use my curve ruler now, just position it in a way that will form the kind of curve that I need on that part. So now that is done. So now for the middle part, we have like an opening. There's an opening there. So however, for the original style, the opening went even lower than the underbust, but I didn't want it to be that exposed, so I just used 11 inches for mine. You can use, I used about 11 inches or 12 inches. Then for the middle part of the yoke, I just marked where I wanted the net to start from. So I went in again because I noticed I was going to be a bit tight, so I just marked this part now is where the net is going to start from. So I cancel the first line. This part is where the net is going to start from, so the remaining part of the neckline will be cut off. So this part that I'm writing on is the net. So that middle is when we want to cut out our patterns, that part will be a net. So I also noticed that the neckline will be a bit too wide, so I also went back as well, because the original style, the neckline is a bit exposed, even if we didn't want it to be that exposed, but I still noticed that it was going to be too tight, so I wanted it to be a bit opened, because by the time I folded the shoulder together, it's still too wide. So I just went in as well. You see what I mean by the time we're almost done. So now this part is the net, the other part is going to be cut off. So now this is where I went in by half an inch again, to just I had to blend it back to my original opening, so that the neckline can be a bit wide, a bit open. But if you want yours to be tighter, there's no problem, you can use whatever measurement that you feel is okay by you. So now this part is going to be cut off. That part is going to be cut off. Those places I marked, they are going to be cut off. So this, we're not using this line anymore. Now we're using the other line. So this other line, now I have to overlap my darts now to make sure and see that, okay, this shoulder line is perfect for me. So we're not using this other shoulder line as well. So now for the back, I've gone ahead to mark out my chest line, my half length, and my blouse length. Now I just went ahead to mark my nipple to nipple measurement. For this back that I'm drafting, it's going to be having a zip, but it's going to be having a lacing bar at the end. But if you want us to have just a zip, this will also work as well. So I came down from the chest line by 1 inch to end my dart line. Then I marked half an inch on both sides of the half length line to mark my dart. Then I just went ahead and mark it all the way to the bottom part. So you can reconnect your darts to form like a star line if you want. So I just did a simple star line like a princess cut, but nothing too serious. I just did it, I just rolled the line together, and then I extended it a bit with like half an inch, so there's no shortage. I will extend it from the armhole with like half an inch so that there's no shortage by the time we are sewing. So I just came out by, I think, 1 inch, not half an inch, just to be on the safer side. But you can use half an inch since we didn't take any dart on the upper part. So I extended it by 1 inch, and then I reconnected it to my armhole line. It's better that we have a little bit of excess than a shortage on that part. So I've already, if you notice the neckline, I've already marked my zipper allowance, but I haven't ruled where I will use for my zipper. So I just divided my bust measurements and my half length measurements, and then I marked everything and added my seam allowance as well. make sure that you cross check and add anything that you use for your dart, replace it, and then add your seam allowance. So now just reconnect this way. Like I said, you can make yours with just a zip, but I want mine to have like a lacing bar inside. So remember that for the front we went up by 1 inch and then reconnect. So we'll do the same thing for the back as well. So now I'll just I'll just mark my zipper allowance, how much I want to use for my zipper allowance. Now for this waistline, I didn't use up to the waist measurement I'm supposed to use. Like, let's say if the waist is 30, I used 29 because I'm going to be having a lacing bar on it. But if you are going to be using just zip, please use your whole measurement and then add your zipper allowance. So now I'm just adding a little bit for my zipper allowance because, like I said, it's going to be having a waistline, a lacing bar on the waistline. That's why the waistline zipper allowance is really tiny, so that by the time we've laced it on the inside, it's not going to be having too much excess. Yeah. So now just go ahead and cut it out. Then after cutting it out is when I'm going to be marking out what I will use for my lacing bar on the inside from this same pattern. So now this part is where I'm going to be using for my lacing bar, but I'm going to trace it but excluding the zipper allowance. Now I'm just going to mark all the way. I'm just going to trace it from where the chest line stops so that it doesn't pop up from your dress, and I will still shorten it because if it is too long, it's going to be extending from the bottom of your dress and it's going to be popping out from it might disturb the armhole of your dress. So now I've already marked out that part, like I said, excluding the zipper allowance because you don't need your zipper allowance when making a lacing bar. So I'm just marking out the shape that I got. Sorry it didn't show on this part, but you will see it by the time I bring it outside. I didn't know the camera wasn't recording on this side. So I'm just going to mark everything. Like I said, make sure that you do not trace out your zipper allowance. By the time we've started sewing, you will see what I mean. You understand everything that I'm doing here perfectly. So now this is it. I'm just rolling it out. Remember that we have a dart on the main bodice and I traced everything out here. Yes, I'll be taking out that now on this pattern, and also I will reduce from this side for the lacing bar. You know, when you want to make your corset and all of that has eyelet, you always reduce from the middle. Now on the half length, I went in by 1.5 and then I reconnected it back. You will see what I mean by the time I bring it out. I didn't know my camera wasn't recording, I wasn't covering this part. Now this is the 1.5 that I mean, that place that I went, this part I went in by 1.5 because of the darts that we have on the waistline. So I had to go in by 1.5 to just eliminate that dart, and then I reconnected it back. So now on the middle back, since we're not using a zip, we're using an eyelet, I'm going in by 2 inch. You can use 1.5, you can use 2 inch, so that by the time we lacing the back, it will, it will be firm. It doesn't go and overlap each other. So now this part will be cut off. Now this part is where we're going to be having our eyelet. So I'll just go ahead and cut it. So for this middle part of the back, I'm just going to make it come down a bit from the armhole, like I said, so that it doesn't poke your armhole. I'm just going to come down a bit by 0.75, and then on the center back we are going to bring it lower so that it just blends in. So this part will be cut off as well. Also on the bottom part, you don't want this part to be coming out from your blouse, so you make it shorter. I went up by 2 inches. You can do 1.5 if you like, and then you reconnect it back. I just did 2 inches and then I reconnected it. I just blended it so that by the time you are done with your blouse, this other part will not be poking out from your blouse, and then you'll be seeing that there's another part for the eyelet inside. So now this is what we're going to be using. I'll just cut it out. By the time we are sewing, you will understand everything perfectly. But if you don't want just to have like an eyelet part or anything inside, you can stop at that part where we drafted it with just our zipper pattern. So that is all for this tutorial. I'll be posting the sewing tutorial next after this. Now I'll just cut out all my patterns out and we'll proceed to the sewing. And by the time we are done sewing, I'll give you a glimpse of what the inside will be so that you understand why we have to do all of this. Like I said, if you don't want yours to have like a zipper, like a lacing bar, you can stop at the part where we did for just the zip and all of that. But I just wanted mine to be a bit firm because the original design looks fitted. It looks very fitted on the waistline. So I just wanted mine to have a little bit of that. So this pattern, you can use it for whichever design you want to use. It doesn't have to be just this type. I'm just doing it because this one has like a plunge neckline on the middle, but you can make it a full shoulder, that bustier, if you want like a full blouse and all of that. It's still the same method. So guys, that will be all for this tutorial. I'll see you on the next tutorial where we'll be putting everything together to form the entire blouse. If you have any questions, guys, please kindly drop in the comment section and I'll be there to answer. Thank you for all your love and support on all my tutorial videos. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for always coming through for me, and I'll see you in my next one. So like I said, I'll give you a glimpse of how it's going to look by the time we're done sewing. I'll just insert like a clip of the sewing process, and this is how it's going to look by the time this is just the sewing process, and this is how the lacing bar is going to be on the inside. So you can do any sleeve of your choice and any other pattern that you like.